First, I will explain a general view about of our country. The country we chose is called Switzerland, a famous country. Its city had medieval native boardhouse with monuments. The country is also famous for its ski reports and wiki trails. The banking and finance industries are key, and Swiss watching and chocolate are known around the world. We chose this country because it is interesting and popular around the world. Its flag is represented by a white cross with a red background. The origin dates back to the Battle of Lopen in the canton of Bern in 1339. To distinguish themselves from other participants on the battlefield, Confederate soldiers wore a white crossing on their clothing. The capital of Switzerland is the city of Bern, with a population of 141,000 inhabitants, where the rivers of Air is located.
Switzerland is located on the European continent. Switzerland borders Germany to the north, France to the west, Italy to the south, and Austria and Liechtenstein to the east. It has an area of 41,090 square kilometers. Switzerland is a mountainous country in Central Europe with several lakes, villages, and the high peaks of the Alps. From a geological point of view, Switzerland is divided into five main regions. The Alps, which are essentially made up of granite, the Swiss Plateau, which is partly flat and partly hilly, the Po Valley in southern Ticino, the Mendrisio Valley and the upper Rhine Rift Valley in the vicinity of Basel. Switzerland is a federal republic of 26 states, called cantons, and is the fourth richest country in the world, according to its GDP per capita. According to its GDP per capita.
Population, religion, and language. Switzerland has a population around 7,725,200 inhabitants. The main cities of Switzerland are Zurich, with a population around 390,000 inhabitants, and an urban area around 1 million meters. Geneva, with 194,000 inhabitants, and an urban area around 1,200,000 meters. And Basel, with 168,000 inhabitants, and an urban area around 731,000 meters. Christianity is a predominant religion in Switzerland, divided between the Catholic Church, around 41.8% of the population, and several Protestant churches, around 40%. Switzerland is a multilingual nation and has four national languages. German, 63.7% of the total population, speaks it in north, east, and center of the country. French is spoken by 20.4% and it is spoken in the west. Italian is spoken by 6.5% and it is spoken in the south. And Romansh is spoken locally by 0.6% minority in the southwest. Each of them is spoken mainly in a group of cantons of the Swiss territory. In each canton, there is one of the four languages that is used by the administrator and it is considered the main language.
Switzerland is a first world country, so it has important companies and research centers. VM Software is a proudly heard information technology company. that develops backup management, disaster recovery, and intelligent data management software for virtual, physical, and multi-cloud infrastructure. The company headquarters are located in Bern, Switzerland. The name of the company comes from the phonetic pronunciation in English of the acronym VM, which in computing environment represents a virtual machine. One of the most important science and development facilities in the world is located in Switzerland. It is CERN, European Center for Nuclear Research, or European Laboratory for Elementary Particle Physics. It's today a model of international scientific collaboration and one of the most important research centers in the world. It currently has 21 member states, which share funding and decision making in the organization. In addition, 28 other member countries participate with scientific projects from 220 institutes and universities at CERN using its facilities. Famous places. The most famous places in Switzerland are natural landscapes or places declared a World Heritage Site, such as Jungfrau, which is the highest peak of the mountain of the same name. Eiger, which is a 3,970 meters high mountain in the Bernese Alps on Switzerland, which is part of a complex declared a World Heritage Site. Barnes Clock Tower was one of the gateways to the Walled City, as it had an opening through which people could enter and exit. The Jet d'Eau, a fountain that launched a jet of water 140 meters high into the lake, located in Geneva. And the Chilean Castle, which is a Swiss castle of medieval origin that is located on the shores of Lake Leman.
Now I'm going to talk about some of the most practiced sports in Switzerland, and among the most practiced sports in the country, the following stand out: tennis. Swiss tennis rose to prominence in the 1980s with Jakob Halasek and then Mark Rosset in the 1990s, but certainly with the emergence of superstar Roger Federer, Swiss tennis rose to the first level in the 2000s, which continued with Stan Wawrinka in the 2010s. Federer is generally regarded as the greatest tennis player of all time due to his countless records. Soccer. Soccer is the sport of choice for the Swiss. The most important international associations such as FIFA and UEFA have their headquarters in the country. Ice hockey. Ice hockey is very popular in Switzerland, which is expressed through the large number of spectators who flock to the stadium to watch the games. Winter sport. Skiing and mountaineering are widely practiced in the country by both Swiss and foreigners, since its snowy peaks attracts mountaineers from all over the world.
Famous people. Among the hundreds of people who came from Swiss, 3 of them are known worldwide. The first is Louis Joseph Chevrolet. He was a Swiss racing driver and co-founder of the company Chevrolet. The second is Albert Einstein, who was a Jewish German physicist, later was nationalized as a Swiss, Australian and then American. He had multiple nationalities. He is considered the most important, well-known and popular scientist of the 20th century. Among his most famous works are string theory and the Einstein-Rosen bridge.
Roger Federer is a Swiss tennis player, winner of the 20 individual titles in Grand Slam tournaments, the highest number in a men's history, with Rafael Nadal, and held the number 1 position in the ATP ranking for the 310 weeks. Roger Federer has achieved 8 Wimbledon Championships titles, 6 Australian Open and 5 US Open, as well as 1 Roland Garros tournament title. Carl Gustav Jung was a Swiss psychiatrist, psychologist, and essayist, a key figure in the initial stage of psychoanalysis, later founder of the School of Analytical Psychology, also called complex psychology and deep psychology.
Swiss gastronomy. The gastronomy basically consists of dishes with a lot of influence from dairy and spices, as well as cool meats or sausages and vegetables such as potatoes. Switzerland produces over 400 types of cheese, for example Emmental, Gruyere, Baccarin, and Appenzeller, and the Swiss consume about 35 pounds of cheese per person each year. As in any other country, each region has different dishes, or similar ones with some changes. Culinary influences from neighboring Italy, France, Germany, and Austria have marked Swiss cuisine. These influences in combination with indigenous traditions have generated a wide variety. Many of the specialties that were once only regional are now found throughout Switzerland. They have a great variety of dishes, so we choose some of the most representative ones for breakfast, lunch, and dinner, in addition to a drink and a dessert. The following dishes are the most typical. For breakfast, people usually eat rosti. It consists mainly of potatoes, but in the style of fritter-like potato pank. For lunch, Swiss like to eat polenta, which is a yellow cornmeal dish that is cooked over low heat. You can serve it with butter, cheese, a stew, a sauce, or simply a splash of cool milk. And for dinner, usually people eat Landjäger. Is traditional Swiss dinner. It's prepared with a combination of pork, beef, lard, red wine, sugar, and selected spices.
The most typical desserts are tarts and quiches. Little cheese tarts look so cheerful and tasty on small pretty plates. The quiches can also be loaded with fish, meat, or vegetables, where the tarts can be topped with different flavors from onion to sweet apple. For drink, the most popular is absinthe. It is produced with a base of neutral spirits that is infused with a blend of botanicals. And I told you about the Swiss chocolate that is famous around the world. Chocolate arrived in Europe in the course of 16th century. By the end of the 17th century, it was known and produced in Switzerland. Starting the second half of the 19th century, Swiss chocolate began to gain fame around the world. This is closely related to the invention of milk chocolate by Daniel Peters, as well as the invention of fondant chocolate by Rudolf Linz. That's how Switzerland is. We hope you can visit it one day.